Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is Trump Organization Executive Vice President and the son of the 45th President, Donald Trump Jr. Don, good to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. And I'd like to start there because you've gotten information from the FBI that Iran not just wants to take down President Trump, but his family as well. There is a direct threat on you and your brother. Is this correct?
That is correct. I guess the logic being if they inflict the kind of damage to someone's family, they get the effective disturbance to the campaign, to my father, to that mentality, without perhaps eliciting the response from the U.S. government. I've been told that not only by the FBI, but also by members of Congress who are read into these kinds of things. They can't obviously give me certain details, but they're like, you guys better take it really seriously. So, this is kind of getting old. I've had a lot of time in the last few months where I have to explain to my young children why radicalized Democrats are trying to kill their grandfather. Now you've had to do that twice. Then you have this. And then you have the hacking where Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terror, is literally colluding with the Biden-Harris administration to try to give them information against their political enemies. Think about that. I mean, I can't tell if it's terrible or if it's perhaps the greatest endorsement of my father's campaign. Iran does not want him to be president. Russia does not want him to be president. Our enemies do not want my father to be president because they understand that bringing back strength and resolve to America is really bad for their global ambitions. I mean, I can't think of a better endorsement, Mary.
Well, let me switch gears to the upcoming vice presidential debate this Tuesday night. Don, it has been said that you were among those encouraging your father to choose J.D. Vance as his running mate. He did. Now he goes head-to-head against Tim Walz on Tuesday night. What are you expecting?
Listen, J.D. has been incredible. Every time I watch him, whether it's the Sunday morning shows, just dismantling the left on their home turf, I just feel totally vindicated in all of that decision. He's been absolutely outstanding. J.D. is a guy of substance. He's a guy that's lived that American dream, coming out of Appalachia to become now the vice presidential candidate for the Republican Party in the United States. But beyond that, building businesses and everything along the way. I think he's been incredible. Tim Walz is the exact opposite of that. He's someone that lied about his military career. He lies about each and everything. He makes every mistake in the book. His greatest accomplishment seems to be he's the guy that was able to put tampons in boys' bathrooms in schools, and the guy that let the main city of the state that he's supposedly the governor of burn to the ground without any confidence. I mean, you couldn't really pick a more, a greater dichotomy of individuals. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, I mean, what do you think comes out of this? President Trump is leading on all the important issues like the economy, like immigration, although these polls are very tight. Are you surprised by how tight these polls are?
I'm not surprised because I'm used to seeing this, whether it's the games and the polls. I don't really look at polls, Maria. Half of them are designed to artificially boost someone's, ego. The other half are designed to demoralize you. Most of it's nonsense. The only poll that matters is on November 5th, so I encourage everyone out there to start voting early. None of that really matters. But we also have to understand we're not in a fair fight. We see the entire weight and force of the mainstream media against us. You don't see the media complaining about Kamala Harris literally letting in 16,000 rapists across the border that she was in charge of, 13,000 murderers as part of the millions of people they've let into this country unchecked. They know that. They understand. They put out these statistics. 600,000 criminals. You know what? Sure, come in. It doesn't really matter. They're able to print those statistics, so that means they knew and they allowed them in anyway. So if you have a media that refuses to call that out, if you have $1 trillion big tech apparatus that continues to function as the marketing department for the other side, it doesn't surprise me that it's close. I think the American people get it. I think they understand. They go to the grocery stores and they feel that pain. Kamala Harris caused that. She's not the agent of change that the media is telling us. She's changed everything for the worse. She's been in charge for 3.5 years. She copied the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris failed policies and put them on her website. They didn't even delete the source code. Nothing is going to change. These failed policies of America weakness, America last, are going to continue. And I think the American people will finally understand that if they start paying attention and don't just believe what they're force-fed through the media.
And yet you've got social media doing its best to sort of change the narrative. You know, President Trump has vowed to prosecute Google, for example, at maximum levels for election interference. Give us your sense of whether or not we've seen a change in the unfairness on social media against President Trump.
Well, I think you've seen it. Obviously, you have Truth Social now. You have, what's going on at Twitter or, X. That's become a little bit more of a fair playing field. But most of the other platforms are still a total disaster. Then you get into search engines, such as Google, just manipulating the data that's seen. If you do a search on anything Trump, it's all negative. It's sort of like the statistics you saw from ABC News, where 100% of the Kamala Harris coverage in the last 3 months has been 100% favorable, and everything on Trump was 93% negative. That's exactly how search engines work. People go online, they're looking for the story, and the first 40 articles they see on a given subject is the CNN version of the truth. Not what actually happens, but, through their lens. You can actually find the truth if you actually have the time to scroll to page 8,376, but most people don't. So what's going on in big tech, what's going on in the search engine space, what's going on with Google, the way they're manipulating what people are seeing, the information they're able to garner. The truth is out there somewhere on the internet. You'll just likely never find it if you don't have infinite amount of time.
Well, look, Don, at the end of the day, people just want a fair election in November. I want to get your inside perspective. Do you believe that the GOP and the RNC has done enough to protect fair elections coming up now, 5 weeks away? I'm talking about the swing states, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and the enhanced election integrity moves we've seen. Are you comfortable with this? Do you feel that enough has been done?
Listen, I think they're doing everything they can. The problem is, these things are all left with the states. If you have a leftist/Democrat state legislature, there's only so many things you're going to do. I mean, even in Alabama this week, I guess the DOJ is suing because they don't want to remove 4,000 people that they know are actually non-citizens that are on the voter rolls. I mean, that's the Democrat Party doing this. They don't want to take people who are known non-citizens, people who are legally not allowed to vote. They want to make sure that we can't take them off the roster. That kind of stuff happens every day. That's happening everywhere. The amount of lawfare that they're able to put into this, the millions and millions that are funded to it. I mean, it's not just fundraising and campaigns where they can dwarf us because, Soros or whoever it may be. They do that in each and every instance. So I think we've done an incredible job doing what we can, but we're up against a lot of forces that are not looking to do the right thing. They're looking to try to literally give illegal aliens the right to vote. They're looking to let them get away with it. Well, it's not really a crime, if you didn't know, so wink, 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 show up and vote.
Wow.
They're doing this across the board. The amount of calls I've had from people, Ken Paxton in Texas, hey, they're giving them ID cards and then they're registering to vote, even though they know they're not actually legal to vote, and they're just hoping that no one has the time to catch it all. So they're playing whatever games they can imagine. They're flaunting it before the American people. It's absolutely disgusting, but we should be accustomed to that now from the Democrat Party because they are not the party of putting Americans first. They've ostracized so many of their normal demographics that would have been reliable Democrat voters. So rather than actually do what's good for those people and the rest of the American people, they said, you know what, we're just going to replace you by bringing in 20 million unknown, unvetted, some of whom are murderers and rapists, many of whom, frankly, at this point. And that's how they're going to handle the situation.
Wow.
It's laughable if it wasn't happening in America right now. It's truly disgusting.
Don, thank you very much for weighing in this morning. Good to see you. Trump Organization Executive Vice President Donald Trump Jr. Thank you so much.